In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? Welcome to Daily Prayer, your moment to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with God. Psalm 11 begins with David's declaration of unwavering trust in God. The Lord I take refuge. This statement sets the tone for the entire psalm, reflecting David's confidence in God's protection and justice. Despite the turmoil around him, despite the evil that seems to be prevailing, David chooses to place his trust in God. His trust is not in his own strength, not in his ability to escape, but in the refuge that God provides. David then hears the voices of those around him urging him to flee. Flee as a bird to your mountain, they say. They see the dangers surrounding David and advise him to escape, to run and hide from the threats that are closing in on him. But David does not yield to fear. He does not listen to the voices that tell him to retreat in the face of opposition. Instead, he places his confidence in God, knowing that God is his refuge, and no situation is too great for God to handle. This is a powerful reminder for us today. When we face challenges, when the world seems overwhelming, it's easy to want to flee, to run away from our problems or difficult situations. But David's example shows us that, instead of fleeing in fear, we are called to take refuge in God. He is our safe place, our strong tower, our refuge in times of trouble. The world may urge us to escape or give up, but God calls us to stand firm, trusting that He is in control and that He will protect us. David's faith is further tested as he continues. For behold, the wicked bend their bow, they make ready their arrow upon the string, that they may privately shoot at the upright in heart. Here, David acknowledges the reality of the danger around him. The wicked are preparing to strike, aiming their arrows at the righteous. The battle is not just external, but internal as well, as the wicked target those who walk in integrity and righteousness. The evil that surrounds David is not just in the form of external threats, but in the schemes and plots of those who seek to harm the righteous. This imagery is powerful and speaks to the challenges we often face in the world. The righteous are not always safe from the attacks of the wicked. Injustice, betrayal, and harm may come in many forms, and at times it may feel like we are being attacked from all sides. But in those moments, like David, we are called to remember that God is our refuge. The enemy may plot against us, but God is greater than any force that comes against us. David's question arises: if the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? This is a moment of deep reflection. If the foundations of society, morality, and justice are crumbling, what can the righteous do? When it seems that all is falling apart, when the world is being shaken, David asks what the righteous can do. His question is not one of doubt, but of seeking understanding in the midst of turmoil. David recognizes that in times of crisis, the righteous might feel powerless, as though the very foundations of life are collapsing. This is a question we can relate to in times of uncertainty. When we witness injustice, corruption, and the breakdown of society's moral fabric, it can feel like everything is falling apart. But David's question reminds us that, even in times of crisis, we are called to trust in God. When the world seems unstable, when everything feels uncertain, God remains our firm foundation. We may not always have the answers or the power to change everything, but we can trust that God is in control, and He is our unshakable refuge. David's faith is grounded in the truth of God's sovereignty. The Lord is in His holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. Despite the chaos around him, David remembers that God is seated on His throne in heaven, ruling over all things. God is not distant or unaware of what is happening on earth. He is sovereign, and His throne is established forever. This is the foundation of David's faith, the understanding that, no matter what happens on earth, God is still in control. In our own lives, when everything feels chaotic, we must remember that God is still on His throne. His sovereignty is not diminished by the troubles of the world. He reigns over all, and His kingdom is eternal. We are called to place our trust in God, to look to Him as our refuge, and to remember that His reign is unshakable. The Lord tests the righteous, but the wicked and the one who loves violence, His soul hates. David continues to reflect on the reality of the situation. Even as he faces the opposition of the wicked, he affirms that the Lord is not passive. God is actively engaged in the world, testing the righteous and dealing with the wicked. The Lord tests the righteous, David says, acknowledging that God allows trials and tests in the lives of the faithful. But the testing of the righteous is not to bring harm, but to refine and purify their hearts. The testing of the righteous is not always easy. There are times in life when we feel as though our faith is being tested to its limits, when it seems like the world is pressing in on us, and we are asked to trust God in the midst of difficulty. But David's words remind us that God uses these times of testing for our good. He refines our faith, strengthens our character, and draws us closer to Him. The trials we face are not in vain. They are a part of God's process of shaping us into the people He wants us to be. David contrasts the righteous with the wicked, but the wicked and the one who loves violence his soul hates. This statement is a strong reminder of God's justice. While God tests the righteous, He hates the wicked, especially those who live in violence and evil. God's hatred for sin is clear throughout Scripture, and He does not tolerate those who oppose His ways. The wicked may seem to prosper for a time, but David reminds us that God will not allow their evil to go unpunished. This truth is sobering but comforting. In a world where injustice often seems to reign, we can take comfort in knowing that God's justice will ultimately prevail. The wicked may appear to prosper, but their sin will not go unnoticed by God. He is the righteous judge, and He will deal with the evil in the world. We are called to trust that God will bring justice in His time, and that no evil will escape His sight. David continues, "Upon the wicked He will rain coals. Fire and brimstone and a burning wind shall be the portion of their cup." This is a vivid picture of the consequences of sin. The wicked, who have opposed God and lived in rebellion, will face the consequences of their actions. David uses imagery of fire, brimstone, and burning wind to describe the severity of God's judgment. This is not just a light reprimand. It is a fiery judgment that will consume the wicked and purify the earth. This is a reminder that sin has consequences. While God is merciful and patient, there is a point at which His judgment will come. The wicked may seem to get away with their sin for a time, but God will not allow evil to go unpunished forever. This judgment is not just for the sake of punishment, but for the restoration of justice and righteousness. God will bring about His perfect justice, and His judgment will be just and fair. David concludes this section with a powerful affirmation of God's justice. "For the Lord is righteous, He loves righteousness. His countenance beholds the upright." Despite the wickedness in the world, David reminds us that God is righteous and that He loves righteousness. God's character is pure and just, and He delights in the upright. His favor rests upon those who walk in integrity, who seek to live according to His will. The righteous may face trials, but they are not forsaken. God is with them, watching over them, and He will bring justice in the end. This is a beautiful reminder for us today. No matter what we face, we can take comfort in knowing that God is righteous and just. His character is unchanging, and His commitment to righteousness will never fail. We are called to live upright lives, to walk in integrity and righteousness, knowing that God delights in those who seek to honor Him. Though we may face opposition from the wicked, we can trust that God is watching over us and will bring justice to our lives in His perfect timing. The Lord is in His holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, His eyelids test the sons of men. David, in the midst of his lament, affirms the sovereignty of God. The Lord is in His holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. In the face of wickedness and injustice, David does not lose sight of the fact that God is on His throne, reigning over all creation. No matter how chaotic or unjust the world may seem, God's throne is secure, and His authority is unshakable. This declaration of God's sovereignty is a source of peace for David. While the wicked may seem to prosper and the righteous may suffer, David knows that God is still in control. His throne is in heaven, and He rules over all. This truth is a reminder for us today. No matter what we face, no matter how overwhelming the circumstances, we can trust that God is in control. His sovereignty remains unchanged, and He reigns over all things, both in heaven and on earth. David also affirms that God sees all things. His eyes behold, His eyelids test the sons of men. God is not distant or unaware of what is happening on earth. He sees the hearts and actions of all people, and He tests them according to His perfect standard. God is not a passive observer. He is actively involved in the world, watching over it and judging it with righteousness. There is nothing hidden from God. He sees the deeds of the righteous and the wicked alike. For the believer, this is a comforting thought. When we feel overlooked or ignored, when our struggles seem unseen by the world, we can take comfort in knowing that God sees us. He knows our hearts, He knows our pain, and He hears our prayers. We are not invisible to Him. He is watching over us with care and love. But God's watchful eyes also bring judgment. David continues, "The Lord tests the righteous, but the wicked and the one who loves violence, His soul hates." This verse reminds us that God's eyes are not just on us to observe, but to judge. He tests the righteous, refining their hearts and bringing them closer to Himself. The testing of the righteous is not meant to destroy them, but to strengthen and purify their faith. God's judgment is not arbitrary. It is just and fair, based on His perfect knowledge of our hearts. David contrasts the righteous with the wicked. God's soul hates the one who loves violence. The wicked, in their pride and rebellion, oppose God's ways, and He will not let their evil go unpunished. This is a sobering reminder that God's justice is not passive. He actively opposes sin and will bring judgment on those who choose to live in wickedness. But for the righteous, God's testing is for their good. He refines them, purifying their hearts and making them more like Him. David continues by describing the fate of the wicked. Upon the wicked He will rain coals, fire, and brimstone, and a burning wind shall be the portion of their cup. David paints a vivid picture of the judgment that will come upon the wicked. God will bring destruction upon them, and their sin will be their downfall. The wicked may think they are getting away with their evil, but David reminds us that God will bring them to justice. Their fate is certain, and their actions will be repaid. This imagery of fire and brimstone is a strong reminder that sin has consequences. The wicked may seem to prosper for a time, but their sin will eventually catch up with them. God is not mocked. What they sow, they will reap. This judgment is not out of cruelty, but out of God's holiness. Sin cannot go unpunished in His kingdom, but the righteous need not fear. For the Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. His countenance beholds the upright. In contrast to the wicked, God loves the righteous. He delights in those who seek to live according to His will, who walk in integrity and truth. For the righteous, God's judgment is not a source of fear, but of comfort. He will reward them according to their faithfulness, and He will protect them from the evil around them. David's confidence in God's righteousness and justice leads him to declare, "The upright will behold His face." The ultimate reward for the righteous is the presence of God Himself. To behold God's face is the greatest blessing, the ultimate reward. It is the promise of intimacy with the Creator, the assurance that we will dwell with Him forever. This final statement brings everything into perspective. The wicked may seem to thrive for a time, but the righteous have the eternal promise of God's presence. Our hope is not in the temporary rewards of this world, but in the eternal reward of being in God's presence forever. This is the ultimate assurance for the believer. We will see God's face, and we will be with Him forever. The Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. The upright will behold His face. David concludes Psalm 11 with a powerful affirmation of God as righteousness and the ultimate reward for the righteous. The Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. David declares, reminding us that God's very nature is just and holy. Everything that God does is in line with His perfect justice. He is the righteous judge who will bring justice to the world, and He delights in the righteous. This truth brings great comfort for us as believers. When we face injustice, when the world seems full of evil and the righteous seem to suffer, we can take heart in knowing that God is righteous. His actions are always just, and He will bring justice in His time. The wicked may seem to prosper for a time, but God will make all things right. We do not have to take matters into our own hands or seek revenge. God is the righteous judge, and He will deal with the wicked accordingly. David also reminds us of the promise for the righteous. The upright will behold His face. This is the ultimate blessing for those who seek to live in righteousness. The greatest reward is not wealth, success, or power, but the ability to behold the face of God. To see God face to face is the greatest honor and joy. It is the promise of eternal fellowship with the Creator. This is the hope that sustains the believer through trials and difficulties, to promise that one day we will be in God's presence forever. In a world that often values success and achievement, David's words remind us that our true reward lies in our relationship with God. The righteous will not be rewarded with temporary wealth or power, but with the eternal joy of being in God's presence. This is the ultimate goal for every believer: to know God, to see Him face to face, and to dwell with Him forever. This also calls us to examine our own hearts. The question is not about how successful we are in this world, but about whether we are walking in righteousness. Are we seeking to live according to God's will, reflecting His holiness and justice in our lives? The righteous are not those who are perfect or without fault, but those who seek to live in obedience to God, trusting in His grace and forgiveness. David's final declaration of the Lord's righteousness should inspire us to live with confidence and hope. No matter what happens in the world, no matter how much injustice or evil we face, we can rest in the assurance that God is righteous, and His justice will prevail. We are not alone in our struggles. God is with us, watching over us, and guiding us to the ultimate reward of His presence. As we reflect on Psalm 11, we are reminded that God is our refuge, our defender, and our righteous judge. We are called to place our trust in Him, knowing that He will make all things right in His perfect timing. We are also called to live in righteousness, to seek God's will, and to find our hope in the eternal reward of being in His presence.